Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hello, family. Welcome to another live edition of the Narrative Podcast. The Narrative Podcast is the home of original people peace, reciprocity, and positivity, and I am your host, Halsey Allen. Welcome, my narrators. So here we go. It is the 1st of November. We are at the, cusp of the new year. It's not a lot of time left until the new year. So pray that you're crushing it out here and getting your goals accomplished and doing everything you need to do. But yeah, how is everybody tonight? For those that celebrate All Hallows Eve and Halloween. Halloween was yesterday. So, how'd that go? I mean, I already told, if you've been listening to my platform, I already told my stance on us celebrating holidays that we've been indoctrinated into celebrating without doing the knowledge and the research behind it. And just, blindly following things that were not meant for us. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's all right. You can have fun dressing up as your favorite, entertainer, movie star, recording artist, comedian, movie character, animated cartoon character. So I get the allure of it, but it's a whole lot of, Satanism to it. The carving of the pumpkin, what that symbolizes, not to mention, inadvertently summoning and riling up demonic spirits. Where our people is concerned, the spirits of the oppressor. We just like doing these little religions and traditions and not really fully grasping what that means. But anyway, I'm not trying to get too preachy. Just let you know my stance on it. Here on the Narrative Podcast, we're all about the original people. So all my narrators, those are my target listeners. They already know the demonstration. They already know what my podcasting platform is about. But for those unfamiliar with me or my platform, I'm going to bring you up to speed before diving into the content this evening. So here we go at the very top, tippy, the name, the Narrative Podcast. I named my podcast the Narrative Podcast because I don't like the false narrative that the media spins about original people and original culture. Meaning black people and black culture. I get to the original part and why I refer to our people as original a little bit later, but just getting some misnomers out the way before diving into the content. So the ultimate goal of the Narrative Podcast is to, remedy how the media vilifies us and negatively depicts our images and likenesses. So I wanted to build a platform where I'm, putting us in a positive light, telling our story from the perspective of kings and queens, gods and goddesses, everything, we've contributed to humanity, not just the negative stereotypes and stigmas that the media places over our people and our culture. The ultimate takeaway I want my listeners to get from my podcast, if nothing else, is to bring awareness of how important it is to share positive content on your platforms about original people and original culture, because like I said, we are falsely portrayed in a negative light, or portrayed in a negative light by the media, intentionally misrepresenting us and defiling our culture, our legacy, and everything we stand for. So this is like, they do this primarily for profit, but also it's some psychological conditioning behind it. They want to psychologically condition our people to, be desensitized to violence, psychologically condition us into normalizing degeneracy, psychologically condition us into living below normal and being all right with it. Like, within our culture, we always justify degeneracy and justify toxicity. We'll deflect it up like, oh, that's just hood, that's hood, you know what I mean? Oh, that's ghetto, that's gully. Just anything but what it is. It's toxic, it's degenerate, and, it's not who we are as a people. Now, that's just on our end of it. They also do this to control the minds of the masses of people outside of our culture, program and condition them to react, respond, and treat us a certain way. Because all they give them is negative frames of reference about our people and our culture. So that's all they, got to go off of us by, you know what I mean? They don't have positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. So therefore, when you see foreigners with storefronts that engage us and talk to us a certain way, treat us, give us poor customer service, that's because they're just going off the frames of reference they have about our people and our culture. And all the frames of reference they have about our people and our culture are all negative. As a matter of fact, I think that's a perfect segue for my tagline, the Narrator Podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time by destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original culture. Now, how do I destroy the negative stereotypes about our people and our culture? By providing positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. So it's not an end-all, be-all solution to, our image problem, but it's a step in the right direction. So my goal here on the Narrative Podcast is to normalize being normal. We glorify violence, we glorify degeneracy, we glorify toxicity, we glorify berating and belittling each other, our women, So we normalize that. So we got to flip it and, normalize exalting one another. Normalize uplifting one another. Normalize unifying with your brother and your sister instead of being at odds with your brother or sister. So that's what I'm trying to promote on my platform, is unification and edification of our people and our culture. So yeah, like I said, this platform, what it's not about negativity. It's not about seeking acceptance from people outside of our culture. This is not seeking validation from, dominant society or, people outside of our culture. This is about, if you're going to tell our story, you want to tell our story correctly. Tell it from the perspective of, like I said, our true heritage, who we are as a people, kings, queens, gods, goddesses, scholars, philosophers, inventors. Tell it from that perspective, not tell it from the gangbanger perspective, the drug dealer perspective, the rapist perspective, the criminal, the thief, the drug addict, the drug dealer perspective. Just telling our story correctly, putting the correct context about who we are, putting it, in the correct context of who we are as a people. That's what I'm doing on the Narrator podcast, and trying to, impress upon anybody that listens to do the same. It's like I said, the media is evil, wicked, and diabolical. But at the core of it, it is a business. We're now living in the digital era, and what you're posting online says a lot about you. This is, matter of fact, how Fortune 500 companies, collect data to create content. So I'm going somewhere with it. What I'm basically saying is, whatever you post online these days is basically like how people perceive you as a person, your ideals, your beliefs, your value systems, your hobbies, your interests. That's how people perceive you as a person. Now, how companies perceive you as a potential prospect to sell merchandise to, that's how they perceive you as well too. So said all that to say, a lot of these media outlets are Fortune 500 companies, and they do that, and they collect their data and statistics in the same manner. And so from their perspective, they're always seeing us posting or clicking on degeneracy. They'll go create degenerate content. So this explains like the low quality media that they represent our people with, lack of strong black leads. This is, based on, their statistical research, their findings. They believe from their statistical research, by what we're posting and what we're clicking on online, that's how we want to be portrayed as a people. They think we want to be portrayed as criminals, as thieves, as drug dealers, as drug users, as lazy, as unintelligent. And then they'll go produce products to accommodate, or what they believe, to accommodate the the need that they believe we want. So, like I said, the media is supply and demand business. If we keep on seeming to be interested in degeneracy, they're going to keep on cranking out degeneracy. You get me? This is why, untalented people, they get these little managers, they get them and dress them a certain way and train them, school them how to speak. Speak unintelligent, act, ratchet. Those are the people that usually in the entertainment industry these days get top billing. They get their own TV shows, they get their own product line, because they done got on national television or in movies just embracing this, a negative stereotype, personifying a negative stereotype. So yeah, it's all about supply and demand. So as a people, let's try to change the narrative, flip the narrative, and put out positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. Let's make us the heroes instead of the villains on our timelines. Let's do like I do on the Narrator podcast, tell stories of entrepreneurship, of leadership, of unity, family structure, and pride and dignity. Next bit of information, I try to my very best try to refer to our people as original people versus black on my platform. I try absolutely. I might say black from time to time just to, save time, because it's quicker to say black instead of original in some instances. But ideally, I try to refer to our people as original as often as possible. So anytime I'm saying original people, I'm referring to our people, black people, and I think, I know that original describes us better as a people than the word black. I can go super deep with it, but I'm going to just scratch the surface. Basically, I choose to refer to our people and choose to refer to myself as original because, I feel that's better describes us as a people. First and foremost, who was here first before anybody else on the planet. Who was here 5,000 years before any other civilization on the planet. And that's including all corners of the planet. And contrary to all unpopular belief, we didn't get to all them other places in the world via slave boats, who was already residing on several locations of the world. So while chattel slavery was a very real thing, the Middle Passage and all that, it was very real, it was very brutal, it was very barbarous, and affected our people in a negative way, and still, has lingering effects on our people. It's just not the case for all of us. We just simply did not appear in all these different places and all these different parts of the world via slave boats, especially here in the Americas. Many of us was already here. While some of our brothers and sisters did come on slave boats, the majority of us, the FBAs, we was already here. But also, in addition to that, referring to us as original people also unifies us as a people, because we have that one thing in common. No matter what landmass we originate from, no matter what language we speak, no matter what religion we believe in, our upbringing, cultural differences, we all have one thing in common. We was here first, and we can all trace our lineage back to the original point of origin for all of humanity. Next, like I said, started out the Narrator podcast. I try to keep this a positive space. I don't engage in gossip, slander. I don't, make this a place where I'm putting down a brother or sister, because we get attacked from all sides. This is all about upliftment and edification. I feel as a people we get attacked enough. So in my space, if it's not positive, I'm probably not going to talk about it. Now, what I will do is I do tell the truth. So if one of our brothers or sisters are using their platform or using their image, their persona recklessly, that, negatively impacts and affects all of us as a people, I will say something to address that. But other than that, I don't finger point, I don't blame, shame, denigrate, or, talk down on brothers and sisters. We do have traitors within our ranks. Some of our people, they're not for the liberation. They're not for the movement. And those people I don't really speak on. I just kind of overlook them, as we should overlook them. We shouldn't waste our energy, giving them attention, giving them energy, because we know what they are, they know what they are. And so, you just got to accept it and move on and try to network and build with people who is about that life, and not worry about people who's not about that life. Next, this is a time-sensitive platform. I try my very best not to exceed 1 hour in a broadcast, because when I first started broadcasting, I didn't really have, any idea of what type of content that I want to touch on, what type of subject matter I want to talk about. And then it dawned on me I wanted the focal point to be on my people. I want to, uplift us and, try to portray us in a positive light. So what is the best way I can do that? I got to engage the masses by keeping the audience captivated for as long as I can in a short amount of time. So I use the KISS formula, keep it simple, silly, and basically just broke my content up and made it digestible, relatable, and so that anybody on any plane of intelligence can follow it, keep up with the content, interact with it, and retain the knowledge. So my goal is not to shoot over nobody's head, and I definitely don't want to dumb myself down. I'm kind of like right in the middle, just putting out the knowledge, putting out the positive frames of reference, and just being the voice in a positive way, because we get enough negativity. We're constantly being bombarded with negativity from the powers that be, from the media. So, here on my space that I'm creating, I want to give us a break from that and just enjoy ourselves, our excellence, and who we are as a people, what we stand for, what we represent, and, affirm to everybody that, you're not imagining it, you're not a conspiracy theorist, it's real. The powers that be are trying it with us, but you know what? If we stand together, even though they're trying it with us, they're going to fail every single time. So just basically keeping my people's spirits up and letting us know that we are progressing and that we are meeting that bar, raising that bar, and progressing. Because the media, what they want to just show that we're not progressing and that, the culture is getting stagnant and, all we do is turn on each other and destroy each other. So what I want to do on my platform is just, showcase the complete antithesis of that. All right, I think I covered all my bases. I think you got the general gist what the Narrator podcast is all about. So I'm about to dive into the content. Now, this is a live edition of the Narrator podcast. And so on my live editions, what I tend to do for the positive frames of reference that I share with the people is just positive articles that come across my news feed. I try to let them accumulate for a couple days. When I see something really inspirational, some really good news, I just kind of, take a little screenshot, take some bulleted notes, and then share the information back. And after I'm done with the articles, I deliver some commentary on some current things happening around the world or some things happening specifically in our community. And the purpose of me doing that is controlling the narrative, because like I said earlier, the media go out of their way to have us looking and sounding all kinds of crazy. So when I'm delivering my commentary, I'm unpacking whatever is going on in the world or in our community from our perspective, taking the power away from the media and just, breaking it down, through our lens, excuse me. So yeah, I think I covered everything. Let's dive on in, get right to it. Got some pretty good news this evening that I want to share. So here we go. Narrative Podcast Live Edition. First article of the evening. The headline reads, Oldest living Spelman College alum and fashion trailblazer turns 104. Now, some of these articles I come across, they're a little dated. The sister's name is Ann Jewel Moore. She was born in Dayton, September 1919. So her birthday was in September. This is a couple months late. We're in November now. But it came up in my feed, and I thought it was, some good information to share. This is an accomplished sister. She made history by becoming a student at the Trapton School of Fashion in NYC. And she also studied at another fashion academy in Paris. I'm not even going to embarrass myself trying to say the name of her alma mater in Paris, France, but it was a fashion institute. Nicole Guerriera La Vigma. It was in Paris. Do your Googles. Hey, it's French. I don't speak French. Anyway, she also created a wardrobe for on and off Broadway productions. Her work has also been featured in Vogue and Jet magazine. And then she opened up her own boutique in 1963 in Detroit, Michigan. And it was the Ann Moore Courtier. And she also headed a nonprofit organization called the Benefactors of Education Incorporated. And she was like the head chair on that organization. So she has led a very accomplished life. Sister is still alive. She's 104 years young. Lived a rich, full life. According to sources, she said, people are saying she's still, coming up with sketches, still getting her work out there at 104. So, it's never too late. And I think, with the stories I got here this evening, you're going to see a theme of it's never too late. So I think tonight's theme for the frames of reference that I'm supplying is it's never too late. Despite what the powers that be tells you or tries to show you, it's never too late. So won't you please join me into giving our sister, our elder, our matriarch, Ann Jewel Moore, a Warm Narrative Podcast round of applause for all her accomplishments in the fashion industry and her nonprofit organization. All right. Up next, headline reads, Black man went from serving 20 years in prison to owning a box truck delivery company. And the brother's name is Ed Hennings of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The name of his truck company is Go Time Trucking. So he spent 20 years in prison. His charge was reckless homicide. So he killed somebody. But he now owns multiple businesses. He got released in 2016. The article didn't say when he went in, but I guess do the math if he was locked up for 20 years. His endeavors include barbershop, apparel, and then, of course, his box truck fleet. And so, that's a message to all brothers getting out of jail, going through the motions. You don't got to put up with the halfway house. You can start your own business. And as a matter of fact, now they let brothers have cell phones in jail. And a lot of brothers are sitting up there getting their bread like that, posting digital content, posting TikToks, having YouTube pages, cooking channels, doing their little penitentiary cooking recipes, designing clothes, doing all kinds of side hustles from inside the walls. So you can take that same mentality of hustling on the inside, take that same mentality. You can hustle on the outside in a legal way and just, try to hone your skills and gifts. And you don't have to conform and, go in that vicious circle because, I hate when people say prison reform because there's nothing reforming about our system because half the people that get out of jail, they come home worse than when they went in. Mentally, their mindset, they're all broken on the inside. They was broken when they went in, and now they're even more, mentally distraught from the things they endured while incarcerated. And so there's that, and then the feeling of hopelessness, because now you got an X on your back. You're a convicted felon. There ain't but a handful of jobs that will hire you because of your felony. And so that creates a feeling of hopelessness, and then many of them go back to the lifestyle that got them incarcerated in the first place. But, this brother is living proof that you can do it if you really want to change, if you really want to commit to change, discipline yourself to committing to change. And a sidebar I would like to say for incarcerated brothers is to focus while you're in jail on vocational training skills, because those are skills that you can keep forever, like things that's been around here forever since the dawn of time, like carpentry, masonry. You want to learn skills like being an electrician, HVAC, because you can go in, to business for yourself, or go into some type of unionized trade, and they're always top tier, pay grade. So you're not going to be bottom of the barrel. And I know pretty much all institutions have barbering, so take barbering on the inside, take, die cast metal, take that, AutoCAD, take some type of vocational training skill before you come home. But other than that, like I said, his story was inspirational and motivational. You can do it if you want to. You don't have to conform to the norm. If you have a hard time getting and keeping employment, that might be the universe telling you you're not scheduled to be an employee, and to dig deep, find out what you're good at, and start your own business. So, yeah. Join me into putting our hands together for our brother Ed Hennings and his Go Time Trucking Agency. Oh, wait a minute. Something else in the notes. He's quoted as saying, whether it be in prison or out in the free world, there's a lot of brokenness. So people need some inspiration and to know they can do it. And brother, with your story and what you accomplished, with your past, you are, living up to that quote. You're showing, the world it can be done. So, like I said, let's put our hands together for our brother Ed Hennings. Yes, indeed. So are you seeing the trend like it's never too late? Next story is very motivational as well. So the next story, the headline reads, former gang member turned his entrepreneur, excuse me. It's reading kind of like, yeah, that's what the headline said. Former gang member who turned his entrepreneur life around now runs a multi-million-dollar accounting firm. Or maybe I wrote it wrong. I think I wrote it wrong, maybe. Because sometimes I just do screenshots and take my little bulletin notes. The brother's name is Jeff Badu. He is not native to America. I have to apologize if I'm going in and out. My connection's kind of bad. It does that from time to time. I notice it does it when I'm saying something poignant and relevant, and you just start doing that. So my 1,000 apologies to whoever is listening to me while I'm broadcasting. But anyway, the brother's name is Jeff Badu. He was born in Ghana, moved to the U.S. when he was only 8 years old. A short time later, he joined a gang. The article didn't say what gang he joined. He said he joined the gang because he felt he needed protection. Going on a little side tangent, there's many reasons why a whole lot of young people join gangs. They join gangs to feel, a sense of belonging. They want that surrogate family. They're looking in that gang life to get that surrogate, family love, whatever they're not getting at home. They want a surrogate, father, usually a male figure if it's, a man. They want that, surrogate brother. Because a lot of them come, from single parent households that don't have siblings. The real notorious ones. But anyway, his story, he said he felt he needed protection because his gang was like heavily gang infested, and I guess the local gang that ran the school kept on like constantly beating him up. So he was like, I got to get me some protection. I need to get in where I fit in. Now he straightened his life around upon going back to his native land. He had Ghana. He went back to Ghana over like a summer break or something. And he talked to his grandmother, and she got his head on straight, said something that resonated with him. He went back to the States. From that day on, he buckled down, studied in school, just was all about his schoolwork. I don't know if that's such a stretch because like in, Canadian culture, like people from Ghana, they are heavily focused on, academia for some odd reason. Like, I give that to my brothers and sisters from Africa. They do not be playing about scholastics. They buckle down. Like, it's education over everything. They go to school just, them is some going to school people all year round, like never take a break. As soon as they learn how to read, and it shows when they come over here, they get into a community college, they just stay in that library, stay online, and just like, excel academically, and just like, they're not taking no shorts on the grades, period. They just got that discipline, that dedication, that want to learn something new. They don't even care what it is. They just want to learn. And not saying us born in America don't have that same ambition and drive. It's just saying like culturally, I think it's safe to say it, it kind of resonates, education resonates a little bit more over there. Like that's a higher priority for them is to have education over anything. Like anything, like the education comes first. I lost my place. Study business. So yeah, he came back to the States with his head on straight, distanced himself from the gang he was running with. Buckled down, graduated, of course. And years later, now he owns his own company that's now a Fortune 500 company. It's Battle Tax Services. Got like 1,500 clients worldwide. He also does car rentals, and he also does real estate. He earned his first million at 25 years old and not born and raised in the United States. Never too late. Let's give our brother Jeff Badu a Warm Narrative Podcast round of applause. All right. Got another one. Next article, the headline reads, "From foster care to being homeless, she now owns her own hair care brand worth over $2 million. And the sister's name is Jerica Hoskins. She's the founder and CEO of Arcani Coil Care. I believe I'm pronouncing it right. Arcani Coil Care. She grew up in foster care. She stayed there until she became an adult, of course. After foster care, she had a hard time transitioning, so she became homeless. And she lived in several homeless shelters. She has 6 children, by the way. She found inspiration while studying Black history and was inspired by the story of Madam C.J. Walker. And so for those that don't know who Madam C.J. Walker is, she was one of the first Black billionairesses, and she accrued her wealth through cosmetics. She got the idea to start her own hair care brand after she took some time to reflect on, how commercialized products do her hair, and she found pretty much all the mainstream products out didn't work on her, grade of hair. So she decided to develop her own brand. And, through trial and error, she finally perfected a formula to work, and she's been in business ever since. And she's finally got it perfected it, bada boom. Thus, Arcani Coil Care was born. So it's all natural product, nothing too synthetic, nothing you really can't pronounce. She got that knowledge from the ancestors. She got that from the earth, just experimenting on different plants and shea butter and stuff like that. Different types of oils. What makes the hair grow, and how just, doing hands-on research, seeing what her hair reacted to. And sometimes, ingenuity is just the best. Sometimes, there's just stuff books don't teach you. But nevertheless, join me into giving this sister, Jerica Hoskins, a Warm Narrative Podcast round of applause for her invention, Arcani Coil Care System. I think it's a system like Arcani Coil Care Products, excuse me. Last but not least, this comes from the world of entertainment. This is about our brother, funded in an MOF like no other, Mr. Mike Epps. Mike has recently just went viral for starting the buy the block back. He went viral in an Instagram post which captioned, "A lot of people claim a hood or a city or a block, but don't own it." And then he put the picture up of a piece of property that he converted into, an actual living house. He's actually went on, he actually spoke this into existence because he's actually gone on the Breakfast Club and talked about, gentrification and, all those houses in the Reagan era that got closed down because they used to be dope houses. So that's basically what he's been doing for the last 2 summers, is buying up houses, converting them into like livable houses that was boarded up, sealed up. He's been renovating those houses in his old neighborhood of Indianapolis, Indiana, Naptown. I think that's the home of the Jacksons, ain't it? Wasn't they from Naptown too? Greatness coming out of there. Like Indianapolis and like Detroit. I don't know. It's just something about them 2 little Midwestern cities. Or Chicago too. They breed a lot of greatness. But yeah, so he's beneficial. Just like he's a walking inspiration himself, because go cop his book, Unsuccessful Thug. And then while you're at it, cop my book, The Black Card. But yeah, that brother's doing his thing. In comedy and just being a genuine, authentic person. Ain't nothing really Hollywood about him. I mean, it is some Hollywood about him because he's an entertainer, but I think his integrity and his morals kind of stand up to par. And then, it's official when like Dame Dash pulls up on you. I had seen the feed when Dame had pulled up on him with the Get Right kit, like an entrepreneur kit, congratulatory for his Buy the Block movement. So yeah. All right, and that will do it for tonight's articles this evening on the Narrator Podcast. Now I'm gonna address a couple, things that's been going viral. Commentary, if you will. I'm delivering some commentary on a couple things. Nothing really super duper important, but just some things I feel I need to point out. Again, if I forgot to say it, I'll say it now. When I bring up a celebrity's name, it's never to clout chase. It's definitely never to put down or scrutinize or talk bad about the celebrity. It's just like framing it in perspective, from our perspective. And the perspective that I project here on the Narrative Podcast is, yes, we have our own in-house issues. Yes, we need to take accountability for certain things, but here's why we do what we do. So I kind of focus on the why did that happen. Whatever it is, whether it's around the globe or within our community, how does that affect us? From the why perspective, why is it like that? Yeah, but anyway. So some things happening It's been kind of going viral. First thing I'm going to address, like I said, I don't really do any negativity, but I don't do gossip, but, it's kind of been trending and everybody been putting their 2 cents in it, but we're going to talk about it. So if you're unfamiliar with the comedian by the name of Funny Marco, he has his own YouTube channel. He started out doing prank videos, whether he was just like pranking people in like Walmart and Home Depot. And then he finally got a deal, and got traction. And now he got this little talk show where he basically irritates all of his guests. Like, so he's still technically pranking people. And I think I've addressed this as well on my podcast about that. Sensationalism. So what happened on his show is he had a guest, rapper G Herbo. I ain't gonna lie, I'm not familiar with the brother's music. I'm familiar with the name, but I can't really say I couldn't even name the first couple of bars or something in his catalog. So I'm not dissing, I'm just being honest. Everything ain't for everybody. That's not really my genre of hip hop. But, I've seen a couple interviews with G Herbo, and he seems kind of, down to earth. So he was doing an interview, and he was throwing things at, Funny Marco. And among the things he threw was a cup of, liquor. He had finished, the guy that he had with him did a shot, yak, and then passed the cup to G Herbo, and G Herbo threw the cup at Funny Marco. Also later up, more stuff came up. He threw some money at him. He also threw a ring at him. And another thing, a part of his persona is he dresses like, he dresses like, his wardrobe is looking like he, real thrift store-ish. Like he gets stuff from the thrift store. Just like his shtick, his comedy shtick. A part of, what makes him him. But like I said, his brand of comedy, he basically just irritates all his guests. Now, since then, both of them have spoken up about the incident. So immediately when he hit him with the cup, he got up, embraced Funny Marco, and said it was all love. All his interviews said it's all love. So how I'm unpacking it again is the sensationalism. We reward foolish behavior. And so he is a comedian. He is funny. I believe he can probably, if he put his mind to it, do some really good stand-up, do some stand-up sets. Because before he got his start, he was doing pranks. And quite frankly, I didn't think like the pranks was too funny because it was like he was invading people's personal space. Like, I don't like those type of prank compilations where people is like just messing with random people in the store, irritating them. So I don't like that type of comedy. But again, the powers that be, they want to sensationalize the negativity, they want to capitalize off the negativity. And like I say a lot on my platform, like leave people alone. Because we all got emotional triggers. And the dangerous part about doing that style of comedy, you don't never know when you're going to just unintentionally push somebody's button. And you're going to get a reaction that you hadn't, counted on. Now, G Herbo said he really wasn't thinking, it was a thing, like they joked back and forth. He said he knew him before he went up to the show, and that's their chemistry with each other, as they joke and play around like that. So, like he said, I'm inclined to believe what he said, it is all love. But you see, he's setting himself up for another hip-hop artist who don't really play like that. And to get his views and to get his hits and his ratings, he's going to push the hip-hop artist that got the reputation for not playing like that and is caked up, got enough money to where he can sock you on camera and just pay you, the settlement money would just be like lunch money. But you're going to put yourself in the predicament to get yourself physically hurt for some views. And this is becoming an alarming trend within our community. A lot of content creators in our communities running around pushing people's buttons for likes and views. Like, we just got through witnessing that with Brickgate, when the young lady got hit in the face with a brick, and then come to find out it wasn't a brick, it was just like an allergic reaction. But she, on her platform, was saying somebody struck her in the face with a brick. But still, the sensationalizing aspect of it, they just, hyping it up to get the views and the clicks and whatever. But one of these times, you're going to come across with somebody that don't care about none of that. But thank goodness, that brother, they had a rapport prior to filming. And as I understand it, the brother basically just stayed in character, took the hit, stayed in character, didn't get mad, kept a stone face, like he couldn't read him after he got hit with the little plastic cup. It was a plastic cup, by the way. But those things still hurt if you throw it hard enough. So I can't really, from the outside looking in, judge the amount of force that was actually put into it, but looks like they had some fun with it. I just got through seeing a funny Marco featured in another comedian, his skit named Desi Banks. They was like poking fun of it, the situation. They was like kind of spoofing Menace to Society. They was like, okay, so like Desi Banks, he was driving the car, he was supposed to be Old Dog. Funny Marco, he was supposed to be Kane. And then it had another comedian, I don't know the other comedian's name. He was driving the car, he was supposed to be MC8's character, AWAX. But it looked like they was poking fun of the incident, so, it's entertainment. They're entertainers. They was entertaining it. At the end of the day, like I already kind of went on a little rant about that this weekend when I did my full episode of the Narrator podcast. I kind of took a little dive into the world of entertainment and not to take entertainers too seriously. And, we are doing that a little too much. Because, like, in that brief instance that we just entertain stuff like that, like letting a minor moment like that become something viral, become a viral sensation, and it shouldn't be, it's just like, we can legit do more things with our time, especially where this movement is concerned. We can like focus our energies towards the movement always. Like it wasn't really all that. It wasn't really all that crucial to be worrying about. I mean, there was just two entertainers. It was something that happened, but at the same time, one of these days, what they say, the honeymooners, you ever watch the original honeymooners? Bang, zoom, to the moon. One of these days, one of y'all content creators that does that shock type content and want to get an unprecedented reaction out of somebody, one of these days are going to find something that you didn't expect. Like you want to push the wrong person's button, it's going to be too bad for you. So I hope them viral hits will cover your physical hits, will cover that hospital visit, you know, all the gigs you're going to miss because your jaw's wired shut. And for the legal thing, they can play it like, oh, you know, they can play it like I got him and he startled me and that happened. You know, they can play that off legally to avoid the lawsuit. Like I take medication and he triggered my anxiety. But yeah, it was a skit. Both parties are saying it was a skit and it ain't nothing real too serious. I'm inclined to believe so. So yeah. All right. Next bit of business, or next topic I want to talk about is our brother Ice Cube in the headlines again. When is this brother not in the headlines? It's more positive than negative, but you know, they're giving him grief over the big three. So basically, the big three, there's a whole big investigation launched by the Department of Justice against his league, the big three, and his co-owner. Basically, you know, it's called anti-competitiveness. And it's gearing up to be a big legal showdown between the NBA and the big three. Basically, the NBA is trying to gatekeep the sport of basketball. They're trying to penalize NBA players for participating or wanting to participate in the big three. So big three, basically, if you did not know, is like the hip hop version of the NBA. It's just basically like all the rules in the NBA go out the window for the big three. Like everything that's a red flag for the NBA is perfectly acceptable. In the big three, it gives retired athletes the chance to be the star that they didn't get to be the star in the NBA because of the NBA's and, you know, just scrutinizing rules that they got. So that's what Ice Cube is bringing to the table with that. You know, it's unfortunate. Like, sport of basketball is for everybody gifted with that talent. I know they're going to fall flat on their lawsuit against, they bit off more than they shoot. What is the saying? They bit off more than they can chew. The NBA is biting off more than they can chew with the big three because, for the simple fact, like, the sport of basketball and hip hop is like intertwined. It's interconnected, like from the beginning. The story of basketball and hip hop, and like all NBA players love hip hop. They love rappers. They love rappers. Like nearly like 80-90% of people in the NBA, their first choice was to be an MC. But just so happens they was just a little bit nicer on the court than they was on the microphone. But many of them, while in the league, then record the album. Like Big Shaq, he done recorded a couple, rap albums. Was featured on, his debut as a hip hop artist was on his, like, who he was digging on at the time. His favorite rap group was Fushnikins. That was his favorite group at the time. He hopped on their song for a feature, and it's been a rap ever since as far as his career as an MC. In addition to being a basketball player. So basketball being at the beginning, it was even featured in Wild Style. That was the most iconic scene in the movie when they was on the basketball court and they was facing each other off. They was facing each other off on the microphone and the basketball court. They rhyming about how they trash talk, like in basketball they trash talk. So in the scene in this hip hop movie, they rhyming about how they're going to do the other team on the basketball court. And then not to mention, let's not forget Curtis Blow. His, one of his biggest hits in his catalog. We playing basketball. So said all that to say, basketball and hip hop is synonymous. They I think MCs, they like football, but they love basketball. So they got a tough nut to crack. We're trying to stop that, because it's way too profitable. So if I'm an NBA player, Big Three putting up a bag where I can come in and I can just be myself. NBA putting up a bag, okay, you can come to the NBA, but you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. I'm going to the people putting up the same bag where I can do anything I want. So yeah, it's just a whole sordid mess. I believe it's going to turn out in favor of, the Big Three. Yeah, I think they lost that one. They're just basically the owners are trying to mobilize and really trying to crack down on any participation of, NBA players with the Big Three. They're finding players for mentioning the Big Three or Ice Cube. So that's what they're trying to do. But like I said, you're going to just be citing people right and left, because NBA players love rappers. They love hip hop. You're not going to win that battle. It'd be cheaper just to go ahead on and do a merger with the Big Three than to try to fight them on the business scale. Because you think of the possibilities of the Big Three joined with the NBA. All that merch, all those time slots. Cha-ching. You don't want to, your racism's that bad, your racism is superseding the bag. Them folks is crazy, man. Them damn folks. But like I said, Ice Cube has been being scrutinized since the beginning of his career. If nothing else, history done showed us that brother knows how to pivot. So I think he's going to turn out victorious in the end. He's going through it, but the hip hop community supports him. Sports support him, because I can actually see like the NFL trying to get a piece of like, well, we want to be cool again since the whole Kaepernick thing. So we'll try to like work out a deal where we can do a big three type football thing to say, hey man, we're cool. But that's just how I'm calling it. Like, I think Cube got it. I think he got it well in hand, and it's unfortunate they just being petty like that. What else? What's going on in the world? Oh. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has launched a $4.8 billion lawsuit against the ADL and the one Mr. Simon Winstow, if I'm pronouncing his name right. Simon Doug. So I guess he's like the head of the ADL. Minister Farrakhan says it is his First Amendment right. It interferes with his First Amendment right to, prohibiting his God-given right to uplift his Black Americans and humanity by calling him or labeling him as anti-Semitic. So since then, the ADL and Simon has rebutted his statement by saying his lawsuit is legally baseless and a misguided effort to capitalize on the ongoing tragedies of Israel and to attract attention. They go on to say that Minister Farrakhan's attempts to blame others for his own self-sullied reputation are transparent and meritless. They also went on to say they were confident they would defeat the frivolous claims and protect its rights to call out demagogues like Minister Farrakhan. So, in the whole history of all the leaders we've ever had as a people, there has not been nobody living. I mean, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King was very inspirational, R.I.P. Malcolm X, but there has not been too many leaders with the profound impact that he has had within our community and other communities. Because, he's not just for our community, he's an ambassador for everybody. So he's, went to, Native American reservations and talked to Native Americans. He's went to the Asian communities and talked to people in the Asian communities and in parts of Asia. He's the ambassador for all people, not just our people. One thing I can say about Minister Farrakhan is unbiased. Like, he tells us the truth as a people. He gets on our cases too. Like, he don't do the favoritism. He calls a spade a spade. He calls it like it is. He's never ever incited hatred. He's never incited to take the first lick. So, like, that's just a lie to say he's ever instructed his people or any other people to commit acts of violence or disrespect the Jewish community. Never. He's also one of our leaders that has a sterling background. Like, there's never been a story that surfaced of him misappropriating money that's been donated to the NOI. There's never been any story of him, inappropriately allocating funds on any, board or council that he's ever presided over. There's never been any stories of him engaging in drug use, drug selling. There's never been any stories of him surfaced of, being adulterous, having a mistress. Definitely ain't no stories ever surfaced of him being with the man. Ain't no stories ever surfaced of him doing anything other than being who he says he is. He says he's a man of God. The man is 90 years old and doesn't have a stain on his reputation. The only stain on his reputation that he has on his reputation is the blemish put by the ADL calling him an anti-Semite. And technically, for all our biblical scholars, we know there's no such thing as a Semite to begin with. So therefore, you can't even legit call somebody you can't call somebody anti something that doesn't even exist. They just coined that phrase for that league. And they also are very biased. They only target affluent or wealthy members of the original people community. They never come after anybody other than original people, aka black people, entertainers who are inherently wealthy or have a good, strong standing within their community. Like, a whole lot of people look up to them. So they're constantly, attacking Minister Farrakhan. They've constantly all throughout Ice Cube's career attacked him, although his business partner with the big three, he's from that same community. So, but they attacked Nick Cannon, made him apologize profusely. They attacked Kyrie Irving. They attack anybody. And the thing is, when they come after somebody in the black community, the first thing out their mouth is they said anti-Semitic. Now, I can't tell people about what to be offended by. Just like no Caucasian person can sit up here and tell me not to be offended if, I'm watching TV and I see somebody put a noose on the table, or call a grown man, an original man, a boy. So I kind of halfway understand their plight, but not really, because like I said, they're being the league. The league now, not just all Jewish people, just the Jewish people in this league are very biased because they've never, and there's been tons of Caucasian people that have said and done way worse things to their people than these black people that they go after. They never go after people. There's been people in the Asian community, there's been people in the Italian community who are like millionaires, billionaires several times over. You know, really famous influencers who have said derogatory things about their people, but yet they never ever, you know, spring into action. The only time the ADL, and you can do your research, like let's be clear, like stop me when I'm lying. When have they ever gone into action against somebody who wasn't black? That's the only time they go into action, is when it's a black person who they feel said something disrespectful to their community. And then the messed up thing about the ADL league is they don't even have like a public record of who comprises the league. They just say a collection of rabbis. They ain't saying nobody's name. They ain't listed any trigger words that would trigger an investigation of the league. They're just saying, just randomly saying what you can't say. Like you can't, they got it so like a black person can't say the word "you." Like that's literally why Ice Cube got on their radar, because he did a song, and one of the lyrics were in his song, he was dissing members of his own crew, of his own rap crew, and within the song he said, "Because you let a Jew," who his manager was Jewish, so he was a Jew, "you let a Jew break up our crew," and for that they said that's anti-Semitic. Wow. So, why the Honorable Mr. Farrakhan got on their radar, it was supposedly something he said in like the 1980s. And he didn't apologize. He didn't rebut. He didn't apologize. You know, his most recent thing was a couple years ago. And he made a comment. He said, all Jews should be stoned with the rock of truth. Not physically taking rocks off the ground and stoned to, like, you know what I mean? He just basically got taken out of context. So he didn't like incite violence. He was saying you should tell the truth on these people that run Hollywood, and that's who he was talking about. That's the league that runs Hollywood, that wants to, you know, utilize their platform to ruin endorsements, like ruin people's finances, opportunities to advance their career, because they don't align up with their agenda. Like they want to control their blackness, how black they are. You can do this, you can say this, but you can't say that. They want to basically like censor black people, and not one African American that has been accused of being anti-Semitic has actually ever said anything anti-Semitic. They've never said, they never like talked bad about with the whole Kanye thing. Like that was taken out of context. Yeezy as like Ye as he likes to be called now. So basically they want to try to manipulate and like force people to do and say what they want them to do and to say. But it's not spread liberally. If they did that to everybody, I don't think anybody would have a problem with it. But the problem is they only do it to black people. They only do it to black people. Our people. Original people. They only have an issue. They only want to say they're offended by black people. They don't never, all these tropes, classic American television and movies and literature where they're calling their people the K word and treating them badly. And that's a part of American culture, but they ain't taking them books out the library. They're not removing, these films off of television. But they're going to, if they feel a black person like said something, they were getting their whole catalog removed. Then they can't, do any shows or anything to financially support themselves if they're an entertainer. You can't talk at this venue. You can't talk at that venue. You can't get a loan from this bank. You can't get a loan from that bank. You know what I mean? Then you can't, do business with this network. You can't do business with that network until you submit and do what they want you to do. Until you grovel underneath the heel of their boot and beg for forgiveness and say you're sorry for something you never did in the first place. Because like I said, the word anti-Semitic isn't even an actual word. It doesn't actually refer to Judaism. This is something that they just made up, literally. So I know the Honorable Louis Minister Farrakhan, he is going to, come out the victor of that suit. Very intelligent man, like 90 years old, still has all his mental faculties. He got a nation of dedicated, devoted followers who will, spend tireless nights, in the soil with him, researching him, getting him all the documentation he needs to fight it out. And that's what this league is not prepared for, because they used to dealing with people that don't have the resources to battle them. He got more than enough resource to battle them. And he's like, almost 100 years old, and he definitely feels like he ain't got nothing to lose. So, if he don't win the lawsuit, he will make his point. If he don't actually get the whole billion, if he have to settle out for a couple million, he's going to make his point. I believe he's going to get the whole 4.8. Because I think everybody, even people within the Jewish community, is kind of tired of this, this excessive censorship, this excessive bullying. They're bullying black entertainers. Like they can't post nothing online. They want to get mad at comedians that told a joke like 20 years ago. Like a comedian said something referencing a Jewish person, might have told a joke in the 80s. Here it is, 2023. Now the red flag goes in the ADL. Oh, you was anti-Semitic. Don't ever perform that joke again until you apologize. That is insane. How can you call yourself a person of God if you don't have any forgiveness in your heart? How can you show people the way of God if you're not acting like God? Like the Bible you say you read, the Bible you model your life after. What story did Jesus do that? Where he just used all his resources to keep all his prophets and followers poor. Please enlighten me with that one. Name the scripture verse where he did that. Yeah, I know it says in the Bible God's a loving God and a vengeful God at the same time, but what part is he just, enslaving people? Because that's what that is. Now, shoot, in the Bible it said, the Pharaoh kept their people in bondage. Now fast forward thousands of years, now you're keeping our people in bondage. And like I said, it ain't just like all practicing or orthodox, no matter what type. It's just this league, this biased league. So if they're not going to play fair, if they're not going to spread out if they're not going to spread out their disdain, their offense, like every time somebody says something, they want to get offended. If they're not going to get offended behind everybody, but only want to get offended when a black person says something, then they need to dismantle that league, because it's not fair and it's not right to only single out one group of people every single time. I mean, nobody should be making nobody feel a certain type of way, but if they didn't say it, if you will intentionally take what they said out of context just to spin the narrative so you can break their finances and their spirit in the process, that is not a godly act. And so what you are, ADL, are bullies. And you know what happens to bullies? Eventually, one day, somebody stands up to the bully. And I believe that's what the brother minister is doing right now, standing up to the bully. So, yeah. I think they're in for an uphill battle. That's all I got for this evening. Thank you for tuning in this evening to the Narrator Podcast. Do me the hugest favor, download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrator Podcast. I broadcast full episodes every single weekend. My weekdays are a little iffy. I never know what days that I'm going to go on the air during the weekday. So what you'll want to do is just tune in, every single day during the weekday. I don't know which day. It's usually like a Wednesday. It's usually like a Thursday. I've never done a Monday, but, yeah. One day I might do a Monday. I don't know. But I haven't been doing lives too long. I just recently started doing them, but definitely just tune in to wherever you get your podcast from every single day to avoid missing me when I go live on the Narrator Podcast. And like I said, download this episode and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrator Podcast. Now, there's a whole lot of narrative podcasts out there. Make sure you're downloading mine, hosted by me, Halsey Allen. Hallzie, Allen, on the Narrative Podcast. To avoid missing me when I go live, the best thing you can do is follow me on YouTube. I'm Hallzie Allen on YouTube. You can hit the notification bell. Hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, and you'll always get alerts when I go live. I'm also Hallzie Allen on X, formerly Twitter. You can follow me on there, and you will get notifications when I go live. What else? I wrote a book of poetry titled The Black Card. It's currently only available on poetizer.com. They have a virtual bookstore. Virtual bookstore is on poetizer.com. The name of the book is called The Black Card. So go to the virtual bookstore on poetizer.com and purchase your copy of my book, original book of poetry titled The Black Card. The Black Card is basically like just an original collection of poetry that's reflective of all our experience as a people. Everything we go through, everything we experience as a people, positive and negative. So basically, it's like it's a survival card, the Black Card. So it'll make a great coffee table read, travel book, just a book you can whip out to chill with. Do yourself the hugest favor and go cop that today inside the virtual bookstore on poetizer.com. The Black Card. Purchase your copy of the Black Card today or get your Black Card revoked. And then could you please also support my personal poetry blog on blogger.com called hallziespoetrycorner, and the address is www.mrhallziesblogs.com. And my tagline for that is poetry with a passion, poetry for all occasions. When you read one of them, you'll find out why. It's poetry ranging from a wide array of topics. The unique thing about my poetry on that blog, the poems featured on that blog, is they're all spontaneous. I just write them in the moment. I don't contemplate about what I'm going to write, subject matter, content, title, nothing. It's just like I type it, like, when I feel like writing a poem, I post it on that blog, and, it is what it is when you read it. Now, I do try my best to kind of edit it, try to catch as many grammar mistakes and spelling mistakes as I can before I post it. But other than that, I don't really, put any cognitive thought about what I'm writing. It's just like, in the moment. So if you like poetry or you're looking to want to get into poetry, that's a good place to start out at. You can check my blog out, Hallzie's Poetry Corner, at www.mrhallziesblogs.com. And the way you can support my poetry blog is by sharing the link for any poems featured on Hallzie's Poetry Corner on all platforms. So whatever platform you're active on, whether it's Facebook, whether it's X, whether it's Tumblr, WordPress, whatever you're active on, share the link or a poem from Hallzie's Poetry Corner on it. Now for the visual platforms like, Instagram and YouTube and TikTok and Snapchat, you might want to actually just like shout the poem out or shout the blog out, if you're a content creator. Because, I don't think people can see the link, unless you got one of those, AI things where you can put the link at the bottom of your video. But other than that, just please, if you could very much just share the link or poems featured on Hallzies Poetry Corner on all platforms. Well, that'll do it. That's it, and that's all. Another episode of the Narrative Podcast has concluded. So I'm Halsey Allen, and I'm changing the narrative one episode at a time. I'm asking you to join me in my quest by becoming a narrator and help me change the narrative on your end, one social media post at a time. Until next time, Halsey Allen and the Narrative Podcast signing off, and it's like that.
Listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.